Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler, out in California for a Week 18 prediction episode. Unfortunately, Jack's a little under the weather, so you get the Paul Ziggy special today to bring in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone, as well. Ziggy, I hope your 2026 is off to a fantastic start.
Well, I'll tell you, I know it's going to be off to a good start because the Steelers are not going to be in our joint power rankings this week.
Yeah, we caught a little bit of flack last week. Steelers at 1.
I don't know why we caught flack. People like the Paul Farrington Show had the Steelers at 1. It was you and me screaming in agony while Jack put them at 1 and we couldn't do anything about it.
I really messed up because I didn't put the graphic out. It was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day when the show, I think it was Christmas Day when the show actually launched, and I just totally forgot to put out the graphic. So in some ways, yes, I guess it worked out and that we didn't get all the blowback of what the hell is wrong with these guys. On the other hand, it is kind of fun seeing that, like, what is wrong with this show? And then we just, deflect onto Jack. So no, again, no safety nets here. Can't just be like, well, Jack's out of his mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're accountable now.
So yeah, we'll have the rare Paul Ziggy duel in power rankings as we go 10-1 coming up in a bit. We'll have Zigger Zag. We have the game picks as well for Week 18, and a little bit of Hall of Fame talk. Ziggy said he wanted to talk about Eli Manning, so I'm not quite sure what his take is on that. I know that Ziggy
what my take is.
Well, I know you had some spies out for you. I think this was actually a plan of yours to try and talk this on the show because I'm getting a text from Ziggy's roommate the other day, our good friend John, and John's like, "Hey, what do you think of this Hall of Fame graphic?" And I give him my thoughts, and he goes, "Wow, that's very different from what Ziggy and I think."
Wait a second. Because my roommate, John, texted me and said, "Look at this Hall of Fame graphic. What do you think?" And then he said, that's very different than what Paul said.
All right, so maybe there might be a
John is
double
trying
agent
to run the show.
Yeah, there might be a double agent here or something. Or Jack is trying to, maybe it all backfired on Jack that he got this fever because he's just trying to figure out what we're thinking about the Hall of Fame class and what it might be. So, all right, we'll see where we stand on that as we get into it. But again, if you're enjoying the content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 30,000 subscribers, and we've just been floating at 29 for like 2 weeks. We've just been floating up and down.
Don't worry, when the Packers win the Super Bowl, we'll hit 30,000.
Yeah, we need an NFC North team to go on a run here and get us out of this rut that we're in. It looked like we were soaring towards 40,000, then all of a sudden, the NFC North decided to stop playing football. So we'll see how that goes over the next couple of weeks here. A shout out to the Pick'em pool. Rickster has opened up a pretty big lead here. 177 wins for him. He is 4 wins above Big Dilly, Style, and Luddy in the Paul Farrington Show Pick'em pool. Again, the winner of that will receive a merch bundle. Rickster, assuming if you hold on this week, 1 week to go, reach out to us on social and we'll get in touch with you. Now, if Rickster gets dethroned, we'll talk about that next week and we'll figure out who needs to reach out and how we'll get them their merch bundle, but that'll be fun because we actually have a merch store now, which you could go visit in the description of this video. So it's all coming together. It's all coming together at the end of 2025. We're starting 2026 on a pretty fresh foot here. So Ziggy, let's get into the joint power rankings. I'm a little bit nervous because when me and you go head to head like this, it can either go swimmingly or it can go down a very detrimental path of chaos and lunacy. So last week, Jack had the Steelers at 1. He started things off. You start this power ranking. Who you got 10?
I sort of can't believe this is happening. This is a team that I truly believed would never break the top 10 of the Paul Farrington Show power rankings. I've been down on them basically all season, but they continue to prove me wrong. And despite losing last week, I think they put out some of their best tape of the entire season on offense. Now, obviously, the defense is still a big worry. We saw what happens when they're not generating turnovers. But at number 10, welcome to Robert Ziggy Ziegler's power rankings. I'm putting the Chicago Bears.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, they had a pick 6 on the first play of the game. Like, they did generate.
And then they gave up 42 points.
Yeah. I just mean for the turnovers. I had the Bears in the same ballpark as you. I had them a little bit higher. I didn't have them at 10, but yeah, they have to be in the top 10 right now. The defense is a little concerning, but when Caleb looks the way he did on Sunday Night Football, that makes you think the Bears can win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl, win the NFC. So I'm totally fine with them here at 10. They cannot be out of the top 10. It wouldn't have bothered me if you had them higher. I don't know how high. I don't think I'd push them into the top 5 or anything like that. But yeah, I'm all in on this. The rushing attack has been great all year long. That offense is dangerous. And if the defense can pull things together, you might be looking at a run here for Chicago. At 9 now, I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills at 9. I know you're a big fan of that. I'm assuming you had them a lot higher.
I had them a lot higher.
You know, Ziggy, this just comes back to what I've been saying recently about this team. It's Josh Allen. You go down, you got Robin and James Cook, and then there's no one else. I mean, yeah, it's like the Batman universe with the Bills here. You got your Batman, but after you leave, it's like, okay, like, can we even get a Catwoman for this team? Like, there's no one else that you can rely on for Buffalo. And I just thought, Philly shut them down most of that game. Like, it feels like this is the one big chance they're going to have to go on a Super Bowl run with the way the AFC is played out. But it also feels like this is the least equipped team to go on that run that we've seen.
Oh, have you ever read any Justice League comics?
No, I actually haven't.
Almost everyone is useless, but they've got Batman on the Justice League. How often do you think Batman wins?
Is that actually how it works? Like, is for Justice League?
Writers love to put Batman in the spot where he's like always doing his thing. But like, you can say the Bills have Batman and basically nothing else. You don't bet against Batman when it comes to clutch time.
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't read enough comic books then to, I guess, make these analogies. That's why they're at 9. That's why they're at 9. Still a top 10 team. Still a team capable of going on a run. If them and New England are the 2-7 game, that's an awesome. Like, the 2-7 games are in all likelihood going to be Patriots, Bills, and Packers, Bears. Like those are
the best
awesome.
2-7 games we've had since the invention of the 7 seed.
Oh yeah, what we had last year? Wasn't it Bills Broncos? It was like a 40-point game.
Yeah, it was no good.
Yeah, just a nightmare. Okay, so I got Bills at 9. Who do you have at 8?
At number 8, this is where I'm going to put the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and there's a lot of pressure to move them higher. But it's hard for me to forget the first half of the season that they had.
Obviously, they're playing this again
now, and Trevor Lawrence is doing well. Moving them a lot higher than borderline top 10, moving them up like some people I've seen in the 5, in the 4, in the 3. This means you really believe that they can consistently play at this level. And unfortunately, I'm not sold on that. I still think they're a good team. They're still in my power rankings, but I'm not moving the Jaguars to the top of the list because we've seen a lot from Trevor Lawrence, and he's playing at what I think is an unsustainable rate.
I get the unsustainable rate, but I don't want to go back to early season right now. I'm focused on what's happening going into week 18. And yeah, you could get me if you said
but the thing is what happened earlier in the season. It's not like that's irrelevant for thinking about how they'll do in week 18.
It's not irrelevant if we're talking about a week 14 or 15 performance, or even you want to go back to like weeks 13, like those areas. And I know that Trevor hasn't been sensational this whole time. But if he had back-to-back poor performances in the double-digit weeks of the season, then I'd be more okay saying, hey, we need to go look at some more recent history here. We're talking about, early October with the Jaguars at this point when we're saying go back and look to when they were losing games. When they lost.
But also we're looking at 2 games against the Colts. We're looking at a game against the Jets, a game against the Titans, a game against the Cardinals where they threw 3 interceptions. Like earlier in the season is where they played the teams that they're actually going to have to face in the playoffs.
But you conveniently left out 2 weeks ago at Denver.
There was one good win against the Broncos. I will give them that.
And that was arguably the best game.
Recent history, the Jaguars have mostly been doing this against bad teams.
They have been doing it against bad teams, but you have the Chargers in there. You have the Broncos in there. You have teams that they're going to play in the playoffs. Probably teams that are going to play maybe even back-to-back. They might open with the Chargers and then go and play the Broncos. Like, again, 8's a fine spot because we're talking about a top 8 team in the league. It's not super disrespectful. I just think that when grading the Jaguars, I want to put more focus and attention on what they've been doing recently than that they started 4-3. I mean, they've won 7 in a row, but okay. So Jaguars at 8. I'm not terribly upset with that. I had them a little higher. At 7 now. Okay. At 7, I'm going to put the Broncos. Is that okay? Good.
Oh,
thumbs up from
I had
Ziggy.
A little lower, but I was worried they'd be at like 2 or 3.
No.
Fine.
This whole year, people have been upset with me. I think mostly has Jack been upset with me about Denver? I'm trying to remember if Jack's been a Denver guy. I'm not sold on the Broncos, and the defense and home field advantage are very good. The defense has been a little shaky, right? They've been shakier than Houston's defense lately in the AFC when we're talking about the best defenses in that conference. But I'm still not sold on Bo as a guy who I want to put all my eggs in that basket for. Like he has the ability clearly to get hot, go on runs. When this offense is clicking, this team is very dangerous. If they do get the 1 seed, which I imagine they're going to get, they will be a tough out. But I think they're another team that you can look at. Similar if you want to use your Jaguars take, right? They're barely beating the Raiders. They're barely beating the Commanders. They don't look impressive in a lot of these games, but they're winning. Jacksonville, I think, has looked impressive in wins, or in a lot of them. The Broncos are kind of surviving all year long. Now, I could have this completely thrown in my face if they go on a run.
Because they just have to keep surviving. In the playoffs, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 1.
Exactly. And they're going to be at home, and they're probably only going to need to win 2 games to go to the Super Bowl. I also watched the Elway doc. Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought it was okay. Yeah, I thought it was okay. But it was enjoyable until we got to the 1998 season, which they sort of skimmed over.
I turned it off then.
Yeah, it didn't even need to watch that anymore. But Denver, again, another really impressive team that is capable. That's another thing about this power ranking. All these teams have a chance to not only get to, but win the Super Bowl because of the
being in the top 10 means you're one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah. So I got Denver at 7. Who we got at 6?
At number 6, this is where I'm going to put, assuming that Jordan Love is healthy, right? I know they're resting all their starters this week. I'm putting the Packers in here at 6.
Oh, Ziggy.
And people are going to find this puzzling. People are going to find this baffling.
Yes.
I actually think that no one's going to get left out that should be up here. I've done the math. There's plenty of spots left. When Jordan Love is healthy and when he's playing well, this Packers team is unbelievable. And I know the defense is really hurt without Micah. I know they're putting some of their worst tape on football. We talked about this with Andy. People are going to be mad because I said the Jaguars should be lower because of the first half of the season. But even though the Packers are playing their worst football now, I still have them high. It's because I believe in the talent on Green Bay just much more than I believe in the talent on most of these other teams. Jordan Love with that offense will continue to be one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL. Matt LaFleur always has one of the best offenses in the NFL. So I'm not all that worried about them going into the playoffs, even with a shaky defense, even coming off some bad performances defensively.
The teams that you're... are we going to do this again to this team? We're doing it again to this team. I can't believe that because now I have to have the difficult decision of who to leave out, because there are 6 teams that
no one's getting left out.
There's someone getting left out right now.
You're gonna whine that the Houston Texans or the San Diego Chargers are getting left out.
I am gonna whine about it because they deserve to be in. I actually might even put the Texans in above your precious 49ers. I'm debating doing that right now. The Packers. Again, you got to be careful. You can't bite the mouth you can't bite the hand.
Say what you think, Paul.
But
Packers fans, I'm way higher on this team than any Packers fans. Going to be Packers fans in the comments eviscerating this take.
But yeah, the thing about this show is we're very honest about it. Right now, the Packers are not a top 10 team in football. They're just not at this point in time. Their star quarterback is hurt, and I know Malik Willis has played really well, but Jordan Love is injured.
He's going to be healthy for the playoffs.
I think he'll be. Yeah, I think he will be too. I think he will too. But he's still going to be having gone 2-3 weeks without throwing a football, maybe a month by the time the playoffs roll around. And the defense was just horrible the other night. I mean, just terrible. They were ran through by Derrick Henry, 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Cornerbacks aren't playing well. They've been banged up all year in various positions. Even guys who are playing are a little hurt. So I do sympathize with Packer fans in that this team was arguably the best team in football. There's a good chance if you're looking at a non-injured Packers team, or maybe just dinged up instead of obliterated the way they are, this team is number 1 in the power rankings right now and the Super Bowl favorite. But the reality of the situation to me is that they're a team that's capable of getting hot because they do have guys who I still think can get to a level that's capable of winning a Super Bowl or getting to a Super Bowl and winning the NFC in a down year. But I just can't put them right now in the top 6 when they haven't won a game in a month. Like, that's just It's just the fact of the matter to me. But I really don't actually even get putting them at 6 because I just can't. Yeah, I just can't do that right now. Do you get what I'm saying?
I thought you were going to ask if I agree with you. And the answer is obviously.
Yeah.
I understand the meaning of your words.
Okay. All right. So at 5, I'm going to put the Houston Texans. I'm going to put the Texans at 5. This team, I believe in the defense of the Texans. And Ziggy, I know you think I'm like trying to get back at you because I just said I was.
No, you're putting what you really think.
I actually did have the Texans one spot above the 49ers. And I know the 49ers are everyone's darling right now because Brock Purdy's thrown or has had 5 touchdowns in back-to-back games. McCaffrey's unreal. Shanahan's the coach of the year. Their offense is very, very good. My worry about San Francisco is the defense is going to get blown up. This is what we've talked about a handful of times. The Texans, man, they're real. I mean, Stroud just sucks, doesn't he? Like,
CJ Stroud has had a tough year. Their vaunted defense nearly lost a shootout versus Geno Smith.
Oh, gosh. All right, I'm going to flip it. Yeah, I can't. I just, when I thought that, I just went back to Stroud just being horrible against the Chargers. But the Texans should be in this top 10.
The Texans and the 49ers are just polar opposites.
Yes, exactly.
So the question is, like, do you think offense or defense is going to be more consistent projecting forward? And the answer to that has to be offense.
No, I'm gonna double down on the Texans. But I'm gonna do it because if I'm digging my grave here on the 49ers, I'm gonna die with it. If they go to the Super Bowl, they go to the Super Bowl. I think the Texans defense is awesome. If McCaffrey spurns me. So I'm gonna put the Texans here at 5. They've been playing great football really ever since I wrote them off for dead back in October. They've won 7 games in a row now, I believe. And I'm very shaky on the offense. It's a shame that Stroud hasn't turned into what we thought he could be a couple years ago, because then they'd truly be a top 5 team, like a bona fide.
They'd probably be a top 1 team.
Yeah, lock top 10 team or top 5 team. But the defense has just been unbelievable. I mean, Anderson and Hunter are as good as it gets coming around the edge. You got one of the best corners in football in Stingley. They're a phenomenal defense. And if the offense can just carry its weight and not throw the game away, they can actually win this conference. That's how good I think they can be. But the problem is do you trust Stroud? And no is a very fair answer to that. Is it insane to have Houston above San Francisco, in your opinion?
I don't think it's insane, and I'm not very worried about us having Houston above San Francisco.
Okay.
But it is what it is.
Well, I could even see a world where you have San Francisco right here.
I don't have San Francisco right here. At number 4 right here, this is where I'm going to put the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. I think that's fair.
The Seahawks they've been a very good team all year long. The offense has been very good. The defense has, I think, rather quietly been one of the best in the NFL. Right? If you ask people to list the top 3 defenses, they'll probably say like Houston, Denver, Minnesota, or Cleveland as any number of those. But Seattle's defense has been just as good by the numbers. And they've got Sam Darnold, who's playing really, really well. I don't think that their offense is quite good enough to be up there with the top tier teams. We've seen it melt down a couple of times in important moments. They've gotten by more on efficiency than production, and it's hard to continue that into the playoffs when you have to face, like in the NFC, you're going to have to win a shootout. And they've shown the ability to do that, but that's come off things. Like if you look at that Rams game, they needed a special teams miracle and some really good defensive plays. Is that going to come? I don't know. 4 is saying that I have a lot of respect for them, but I don't have them quite in the top 3.
Yeah, I would have liked Seattle to have been there at 2 for me, because I do think that they have been more consistent and they've been winning consistently, at a better rate than some of the teams we're going to have here jostling for the 2 and 3, at least for me, for the 2 and 3 spot. I don't know who you have at 1. That's the beauty of the joint power rankings. I have no idea what you're thinking right now. But I like Seattle a lot. And they need to win this game on Saturday night.
It is crazy. Like you look at this game For the 49ers, if they win, the playoffs run through San Francisco and they get a bye. If they lose, they're probably going to Philly round 1.
And they're going to lose.
Seattle, it's a little bit better. If they lose, they're going to go and face the NFC South team. But you have got to host the playoffs in Seattle if you can.
I've said this multiple times now. The loser of that game basically takes themselves out of Super Bowl contention to me. And the winner, probably becomes the favorite. So this game, this is just a massive game. And it's a hysterical that Darnold in back-to-back years has an unreal record and has a very good chance of not hosting a playoff game. That's just crazy.
But if Sam Darnold gets 14 wins this year, he'll get to be the 1 seed instead of having to go on the road every game.
I know a lot of people are also worried about how Sam's going to perform against San Francisco because, big game Sam Darnold hasn't really showed up. And he really didn't show up in the Rams game either. Back on Thursday night, he had a couple nice drives.
Up for some drives.
Yeah, but that game was very close to being another great example of Darnold choking in the big bat. I don't want to say choking, but not playing good football in a big spot.
Not throwing for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns like Stafford did.
The issue with this one, with that take for this game for me, is the Rams have a very good defense. The 49ers do not. If Darnold implodes in this one, maybe it's a little like the Lion game, I guess, last year. Lions playing with all their backups. And if he doesn't play well against the Niners defense that is decimated, I think that's going to be a problem. And that might be a little telling of, we might have a real issue in the big games here. So Sam has to come out and play well. They need to win this game. I actually think they will. But it could turn into a shootout. There's a very good chance this turns into a shootout with the way the 49ers offense is performing. So you have the Seahawks at 4 right now. So it's Rams and Eagles for me at 2-3. And I'd really want to I still think the Rams are my Super Bowl. They're a team that I believe can get to the Super Bowl in the NFC, but I'm going to move them down to 3 now. And I've been high on them all year. I love the Stafford to Puka. Obviously, everyone knows is great. But when you're watching them recently, I mean, they just lose to the Falcons. Like in the game, they really wanted to win against Atlanta. They lost to the Panthers a couple weeks ago. They blew it in Seattle. There's no doubt in my mind the Rams can get back up to number 1, but they've lost 3 of 5. And the moment everyone thought they were the juggernaut team, they took a bit of a step back. If they go to Philly, that's going to be a dogfight. It'll be a pick'em game. But I'm going to put the Rams at 3 right now in a very, very close 2-3 race.
I agree. It's a very, very close 2-3 race. I'd understand putting the Rams there. I'd understand putting the Eagles there. Obviously, Stafford has been great all year. I think it's totally ridiculous that the Falcons game is probably going to cost him an MVP. Because he had one off game in an entire season.
Yeah.
When Drake May got to play, I'm not saying that the Falcons are a world beater, but Drake May lit up the Jets the same week. So that's going to be the decider, is how they played against bad teams in a sort of not super relevant game for either team.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Nick said this on his show. He was like, it's a glorified December Player of the Month award right now with the MVP. And he immediately went to the exact thing I was thinking about in 2023 when you had the race between Tua, Purdy, Lamar, and I can't remember who the other one was in that. But they played
one head-to-head in San Francisco just decided the award.
I think it was 2. I think the Dolphins lost in San Francisco and everyone said, Purdy's the MVP. And then the Ravens beat the crap out of the 49ers on Christmas. And it was like, Lamar's MVP. And it was like, really? This is how we're doing this? And now it feels like the same thing with Stafford, where already I don't like that it's kind of a quarterback award to begin with. I still think that there should be and I get it, right? Quarterback is the most valuable position, but
it shouldn't be December head-to-head award for the 1 seed.
Yes, this is one. So when you're saying that we need to look at the entirety of the season to discuss the power rankings, I don't think that that's as much the case. When it's MVP, I think you need to look at the entirety of the season.
And you can say credibly, a lot of Stafford's gaudy numbers come from a couple performances against bad teams too. Drake May added a lot of value on the ground. There's a debate to be had here, but that debate is not decided by how they played in Week 17.
I also don't think this just isn't a very strong MVP group. It's just not. We've had years where last year you looked at Josh Allen and Lamar, and you were saying, holy crap, those guys are carrying those teams.
Either one of those guys would be minus 10,000 at this point.
They would be runaway favorites for this year. Stafford's having a very good year. Drake May's having a very good year. But neither of those guys are guys that I'm going like, okay, that's that's an all-time season.
Seasons.
Yeah, and I like Garrett. Garrett is not going to get the award. McCaffrey's been awesome, but he's not having a running back year that would give it. So it's between
Jonathan
these
Taylor
two.
Fell off.
Yeah, Taylor fell off. Like it is between these two, and I think it's between these two because other people haven't stepped up. And I would lean Stafford in this case. So, all right. So you got Philly at 2?
No.
Patriots?
I have the best team in the NFC at 2. I'm putting the San Francisco 49ers at 2.
Okay. All right.
Look, people are going to say, remember
I knew you were going to do something like this.
One of them, the Rams. They went to overtime. They lost the second game. Well, that was because they had Mac Jones at quarterback. And everybody has said that the Shanahan offense, it's all about the skill position players. Any quarterback can run it. This has not been true for years. But people are finally starting to wake up and realize it's not true and that Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, Paul is not awoken to this fact. He still thinks Brock Purdy is mildly above average. But if you actually watch how Brock Purdy plays, he's clearly one of the best quarterbacks. The 49ers offense is on fire. I know that they struggled against the Bears offense last week on defense, but also most teams struggled against the Bears defense or against the Bears offense and then lost the game. The 49ers were able to do the impossible and beat the Chicago Bears in a late game shootout. Green Bay couldn't do it. Philly couldn't do it. No one in the NFL has been able to do it except the 49ers. And that's because they have the best offense in the NFL. So I'm happy I'm sitting back here. The 49ers are going to beat Seattle this weekend. The playoffs are going to run through Santa Clara. And when they go to the Super Bowl, Paul, you're going to have to admit they're one of the best teams out there.
Ziggy, well done. Impressive. Totally duped to me. I also don't hate it. I really don't hate it. And I understand it because they're playing great football right now. And the Eagles, I felt very uncomfortable with the Eagles at number 2. They're too hit or miss. I know that they've won 3 in a row now, but it's not that long ago that this team was imploding.
It's hard for me to ignore that they lost that Rams game and Brock Purdy came back. And since then, they're 6-0.
No, and Purdy's been really good. I don't want this to turn into a Paul hates Brock Purdy, which is what it seems to be going down that road.
It's true.
Because you keep
put
saying...
out a poll trying to trick people into saying Caleb Williams.
I didn't try and trick anyone. I put it out there. And some people said Purdy, some said Caleb. Who do you think? You think Purdy? Who do you would you rather?
It's not a question.
You'd rather
you're asking without me question? Caleb Williams, who's had an up and down season, or one of the 6 or 7 best quarterbacks in the NFL? Who's better?
I'm not saying who's better. I said who would you rather have as your franchise quarterback?
Oh, I'd rather have the player who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Okay. I don't hate Brock Purdy. I think saying someone
bizarre narrative that emerged. I understand in 2022 when Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, came in, they're all those skill position players. I understand the narrative then. We are so far.
I've always been a big Brock Purdy defender before. I used to say that I thought Purdy was awesome and that people need to give him more credit.
Then why did you change your mind?
I just didn't think that I would give him a $55 million contract. That was the only thing. And now
this is elevated the offense.
What I said when they gave him that contract, I said it's going to come back and look really stupid in the first year because they're going to win a bunch of games because they have a bad schedule. And that's what's happening here. And Purdy's playing well. He can reach that level. But he doesn't, I don't think he gets there consistently. And especially when McCaffrey's down, his play changes a lot. And I'm worried about the future. I think there's a good chance that if the 49ers win a Super Bowl this year, all right, you give them all the money, it's worth a Super Bowl. As a Viking fan, I'm all in. 1 Super Bowl is all I need. So it's worth that gamble in that sense. If they don't, and then guys get hurt next year, a couple guys who, are very injury prone get injured on the offense, I don't think Purdy can elevate that team.
Like what, George Kittle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking
been at. I know he's that Jake Tonjes and Jawan Jennings are carrying Brock Purdy.
I'm saying McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is the engine of that offense. He is unbelievable. And Shanahan's great too. Look, Shanahan and Purdy are a good combo. Purdy, I like Brock Purdy. But if next year, I'm just saying, playing a tougher schedule. McCaffrey, you have to hope he's healthy all year. If that's not the case, I think the 49ers could take a pretty big step back. But right now, if they win the Super Bowl, you're all good with it. Okay, so 49ers at 2. I'm actually okay with it. I'm not thrilled. I had them at 7. So it's not, again, when you're this close with all these teams, I'm not going to freak out over it. I am going to freak out if people say I hate Brock Purdy. I don't hate him.
Put in the comments whether you think Paul hates Brock Purdy.
There's going to be a wild rage bait here. Just because you think, I say he's like 14th best QB in the league, somewhere around there. Like that's
hating Brock Purdy. I think the guy who's the most productive quarterback in the NFL over the arc of his career is maybe above average. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think he's a little above average. So then at 1, I'm going to put New England right now, who was very close to being a surefire lock at number 1 had they held on to the lead against the Bills. They've just been awesome all year long. And Drake May is probably going to win MVP. Whether or not people actually think he should win that award is another question. But
he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. He certainly belongs at least in the top 2. So I have no problem with New England being up here at 1. They were my number 1 team. I'm just looking at the schedule right now. They've lost 1 game since week 4.
Yeah.
And
the Steelers' loss was a freak loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Steelers' loss was a freak loss. They probably should have held on and beat Buffalo, and then you lose to the Raiders week 1, and they decimate bad teams. Like they just demolish bad teams.
I'm not sure we've ever seen a better performance by an offense than what we saw against the Jets.
Now, here's what I will say: Stephon Diggs and whatever's going on with him right now. And now
don't forget Christian Barmore.
And I'm looking at Christian Barmore here. That needs to be something we keep an eye on as we move forward, because Diggs is very important to that offense, and Barmore is very important to that defense. And if you're going to have guys having, assault charges against them and missing playoff games, that like big time players could be a problem. Could be a real problem in January football. So I have them at 1. Unlike any other time this year, it seems like there's a little bit of a cloud over the Patriots that could turn into a really big storm, and I'm just a little wary of that.
I totally agree, but longtime channel member Luis Portillo has been asking for a long time to have the Patriots higher in our power rankings. Here you go.
Yeah, buddies Hayden and Mike, big Patriots fans. All right, Mike, look, you happy now? I get texts from Mike every week.
Roommate John?
Yeah. Wow, we know a lot of Patriots fans, do we?
It's unbelievable. Jeez. We went to college in Indiana and met a host of Patriots.
Yeah, and all year we've been getting yelled at for not having them at 1. But all right, here you're at 1. Now we hope that these assaults don't move you down the list. So hopefully everything winds up working out there. I don't know. We'll stay away from those issues. But the list was 10 Chicago, 9 the Bills. I put Ziggy put the Jaguars at 8. I put the Broncos at 7. Ziggy, Packers at 6, I would say the most controversial ranking on the list this week. I put the Texans at 5, Seahawks 4, Rams 3, Niners at 2, Brock Purdy's Niners at 2, and 1, the New England Patriots. I was actually thinking it wouldn't have surprised me if some people came out after the Purdy Bears game and you heard some lunatics being like, maybe if Purdy hadn't missed time, he could be MVP this year. I was waiting for that take to come out.
If he hadn't missed time, he would have been MVP this year.
I was waiting for that take to come out. I was surprised.
But there's no point speculating about that, because who knows?
So
he missed so much of the season.
Do you have Zig or Zag?
Oh, do I have Zig or Zag? This was a tough Zig or Zag, actually, because so many... My number 1 go-to Zig or Zag, what I'm 3-1 on, taking the Vikings quarterback under passing yards, is not available.
Oh, it's not there?
Because we don't know who's going to be playing in the Green Bay, Minnesota game. So I had to scrounge up some other stuff. I'm coming off 5-1 over the last 2 weeks. It's been a very, very good week for Zig or Zag. And it's going to continue this week. When you're hot, Paul, you got to keep going, right?
Oh, I think so.
We're going to start this off pretty easy here. You've got maybe the single best quarterback in the NFL playing in a game that should be a shootout. And they said his passing line at 242.5 yards. Brock Purdy's hitting that over all day long. The Seahawks are going to try and race him. I don't know if it's going to be on the ground or in the air. You never know with the Seahawks. But Brock Purdy's going to be an offensive engine this game. Maybe that he gets all 242 of those passing to Christian McCaffrey. You don't have to rule out McCaffrey being the engine for this.
Nah, it's funny.
But 240 yards feels pretty good. I'm taking over 242 and a half Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I actually like that. I'm going to zig with you on it. He went over that last time he played the Niners. Brock's been red hot. I will not argue when Brock Purdy is on. He is on. And that 49ers
he produces
offense,
like no one else. That everyone has to.
Maybe I won't say no one else, but he produces like an elite top 5 quarterback when he's on. He has that kind of a ceiling, and not all quarterbacks have that. Not all quarterbacks have the weapons that he has to complement when he's on. And Kittle and McCaffrey are as good a duo as you can get. So, and honestly, you could throw Shanahan in there.
I don't think Kittle's going to be playing this game.
Yeah, I know. I just meant in terms of like the broader 49ers team. But yeah, Shanahan is also a genius, and you have a guy that can get anyone open, it seems. So I will zig on that. Again, pro Brock Purdy, just anti belief in Niners as a Super Bowl team.
And Brock Purdy, but that's okay. This is the next one. Actually, this is one that came to my mind when the game time was announced. And you might wonder, like, how could game time possibly affect a zig or zag? When the Carolina Panthers were scheduled to play at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4:30 on a Saturday, I just thought to myself, this guarantees that this will be an ugly football game. You're going to have Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers duking it out with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. And both of these are teams that have just played ugly football for most of the year. So you think the game's going to be an ugly one. And a 4:30 game on Saturday has got to be an ugly game. The over-under for this game is 43.5. I'm taking the under. I think this is going to be a nightmare of a game that nobody really wants to watch, not even the fans of these teams. And it's going to be some like 17-13 ridiculous slugfest.
43.5. Okay, so the first game
it's a low line.
The first game they played was 43. It was 2023 Panthers won. I am going to zig with you again. Every piece of me wants to say the Buccaneers are going to win this game because I've been anti-Panthers all year. But when you look at the Buccaneers, if you go and pull up their schedule on ESPN, it's a lot of green, and then it's just all red. L, and they have been just terrible. And it's a really weird drop-off. I mean, I brought up Emeka Egbuka a number of times now on this show, and what the hell happened to him, I don't know. But the Bucs are just, I mean, they're bad right now. They just lost to the Dolphins. The Dolphins lost by 30 to the Bengals. Like the other day. I don't know what's wrong with them. So I'm going to
probably not getting fixed in week 18.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It is a bizarre fall off for Tampa. I mean, they were. It's bizarre. I mean, they beat the Seahawks.
If only someone could have seen it coming.
Yeah, no, you're right. But look at their wins. They beat the Texans. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Niners. Like they won a lot of good games early in the year, and now
but they were winning ugly.
Yeah,
you can't win ugly forever off Baker Mayfield fourth quarter comeback drives.
Yeah, so I'm going to zig with you because I don't believe in either of these teams, and I don't think either of these offenses are suddenly going to wake up. Okay, all right, so 2 zigs so far.
Well, Paul, I couldn't go with the Minnesota Vikings for a quarterback under, but fortunately, there's another quarterback near and dear to our hearts who's starting against an absolutely brutal defense. That's right. Riley Leonard is starting for the Indianapolis Colts, playing the Houston Texans. Now, he's not getting a lot of respect. That passing line is at 168.5. But listen, all you have to do is wonder how much of the Colts believed in Riley Leonard. They called Phillip Rivers, who was sizing his Hall of Fame jacket. He'd been on the couch for 5 years. And they said, Phil, we want you to come in and play over Riley Leonard, the quarterback we're developing right now. And now he has to go and play the Houston Texans week 18. The only reason Phillip Rivers is not in this game is because they are worried that Phillip Rivers' life insurance will sue them if he plays this game. Riley Leonard is going to get manhandled by the Texans. Is that actually the reason? He's not going to hit 168.5 yards. I'm under that all day long.
Why actually isn't Phillip playing in this?
I actually think it's because they don't want him to get hurt. Phillip Rivers has said he wanted to play, and they didn't bring Phillip Rivers back because they thought that Riley Leonard was a better player. They didn't change their mind. It's actually to preserve Phillip Rivers' health. I'm convinced of this.
That's what I was thinking as well. I didn't know I thought that maybe the life insurance line was actually real. That's how insane the situation is. That what you just said, I thought could be real. I'm triple zigging. Yeah, I love Riley Leonard.
So I'm going 0-3.
Yeah, so you're going 0-3. I love Riley Leonard. I think that he's one of the nicest guys that you could have in the league.
He was great at Notre Dame.
Awesome at Notre Dame.
I'm glad there's a spot for him.
And at the same time, I just put the Texans at 5 in my power rankings because I said how good this defense is. And this is not a spot where you want to be making is this his first start?
I'm not sure if it's his first start.
Whatever, first, second, third, wherever number it is. This is not a place where you want to be making an early career start with a team that's knocked out. I'm going under. I really hope I'm wrong because I love Riley.
But sometimes you just know.
Look, man, I'll be jacked up if Riley Leonard has a really good team.
Me too.
I will be real. I'll come on. We'll eat all our words on Zig or Zag. No one will be happier than this channel. I actually don't think any sports media show will be happier than this show right here, other than a Colts-based show. So yeah, we got
the Colts-based shows might not be happy because they'll hurt their draft stock.
We got the over 242.5 on Brock Purdy, Zig under 43.5 in Panthers-Bucs, Zig and under 168.5 for Riley Leonard against the Texans, Zig. Triple Zig means it's probably in big trouble, but Zig or Zag has been hot lately. If you can't beat him, join him. That's what I say. So I'm with you, Ziggy. I think that's a good way to end the year. That'll be fun. Did you see? By the way, we're not
ending the year. Playoff Zig or Zag is about to come.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. Did you see the Lamar Jackson article that came out?
Which one?
Actually, I think you texted me about it. Right when we were
talking about get rid of Lamar, replace him with Malik Willis.
Yeah, and the Ravens don't like that he stays up playing video games and things like that. Which is funny when the Ravens locker room this year, led by Lamar, banned video games. Like there was just I don't know. The whole situation in Baltimore is perplexing. Who do you think right now who seems to be more upset, Joe Burrow or Lamar to you?
Oh, there's no question it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
Lamar, he's been hurt a lot of the year. He hasn't played great when it's in. Lamar, what's happening is this year in particular is largely on him. That's why you're getting this sort of chatter. Lamar has not expressed any frustration with the Ravens organization. I don't think he can credibly say they've treated him poorly. Joe Burrow's a completely different case, I think.
Joe Burrow's coming out and seems like clinical depression may be in play here. He actually seems...
I mean, Cincinnati does this to their players.
It's crazy. But I will say, and this is where we have to be careful. I am not happy that Joe Burrow is depressed in Cincinnati for Joe Burrow, the person.
Look, I want Joe Burrow to be happy.
I want Joe to be happy too.
There's an easy way for Joe Burrow to be happy for most of the year.
I want Lamar to be happy. Is that so wrong? I want Lamar. I want Joe to be happy. That's all we're rooting for. The happiness of people.
If Joe Burrow is tired of getting let down by his defense, I know where he can go that has a top 5 defense 2 years in a row.
I know a defense that can't let its team have a top 10 draft pick. They just happen to win games for their team.
Single-handedly win the game. When Joe Burrow threw 2 interceptions against the Bills, the game was just over and he had to blame himself. When Max Brosmer throws for 3 passing yards, the defense wins in a blowout.
Yeah, it's no problem. Joe came out, he's like, I wouldn't win. We wouldn't have won with any team in the league I was on today with how I played. Not true. Not true. You could win with us. We can, as long as the game doesn't matter, we can make anyone great. So I will say, while all this happening, I feel bad for those guys. My ears do perk up a little bit, Ziggy. Especially, and it's all just a tease. I know it in my heart of hearts.
Guys like this do not move.
Yeah, they just don't.
There's a reason why when Luka Doncic moved, it was the most shocking moment in sports, maybe ever, in terms of a transaction.
But you have to admit, once again now, a rumor about Lamar Jackson possibly going to the Vikings is out there. Joe Burrow to the Vikings was out there. You're starting to hear now, not of the same caliber anymore, but you're hearing, could Aaron Rodgers go to the Vikings next year? There's a lot of murmurings about who the Vikings' future quarterback could be. Do you think there's a chance that it's one of those three guys I just said?
No. I could see it being Aaron Rodgers. I think that's still very unlikely.
Yeah, but it's there.
That's the only one there's a chance of the three.
That one actually makes sense.
That's the thing. Aaron Rodgers is a free agent next year. The Minnesota Vikings are a destination that makes sense. I think, unlike last year, we'd be willing to take him if things broke right. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are not getting moved.
No, they're not going to move. But, man, if they got Ziggy, if they got Burrow or Lamar, euphoria.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't care if it blew up in our faces. You have to try.
We would open the show. I'd be smoking a cigar. I'd be smoking a cigar right here, lean back at the bar, probably have a bourbon or something. You know, it would be great. It would just be awesome. But all right, I just wanted to bring that up, is that we're hearing more murmurings. The Vikings quarterback search is going to be fun this offseason.
But it's not, because we know how it's going to end up.
Yeah, but it ultimately, of course, will not be fun. Okay, so you wanted to talk.
It's like going to the Bahamas and shopping for a watch when you have no money. It's like the window shopping is fun, but you're going to leave with a Seiko.
All right, so let's talk for a second. The Hall of Fame here, as we said, there seems to be some double agents in our friend group who are trying to, maybe overthrow the show.
I mean, this is why people watch this show, is because this really is just guys talking about the crazy things that friends said.
Yeah,
we're easily manipulated, you and I.
Oh, easily. I think a lot of people who listen to the show have realized that we're very accessible people too. It's not very hard.
If enough people leave something in the comments, we will just talk about it.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. And there are people who message us, and people message me on LinkedIn. I get LinkedIn messages from the show, and I usually respond. Now, there's a couple times I respond like 1 a.m, and people question why are you on LinkedIn at 1 a.m? And I don't really know. I'm really not browsing LinkedIn at 1 a.m. But Ziggy and I are very easy people to reach. So if you have any topics you want inserted into the show, just let us know and we'll talk about it.
We're not guaranteeing it'll be there, but sometimes it works.
So the Hall of Fame finalists. These are the finalists, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the final. This is the last public finalist list. It gets cut down to 10 and then 7.
Yes. So the modern era finalist list is out here. I'll read the names one time and then we're going to talk about this. The finalists are...
We're only going to talk about one player here.
Yeah. But the finalists are Willie Anderson, the Bengals tackle, Drew Brees, Jari Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore. There's your first 5. Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri. There's another 5. Reggie Wayne, Kevin Williams, Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, Marshall Yanda. There's your final 5. The committee, right? They can have up to 5 modern era players can be selected.
Yeah, and they changed the rules recently. So it has to be only players from that final 7 that get 80% of the vote get in. So it's quite possible that it's only 3 or 4 players will make it in.
Yeah, so you need 80% of the vote to get in.
And guys like Belichick, coaches, they're voted in separately.
I have no doubt. Yeah, and because then you have it's like Roger Craig, Belichick, Kraft, Kenny Anderson, and Elsie Greenwood.
I guarantee you Belichick is in the Hall of Fame this year.
So that's interesting. All right, I want to get to that. Can we save that for the end after Eli? I think Brees, Fitzgerald, and Kuechly are all going to get in, right? We have to
probably, though Kuechly didn't get in last year, so who knows?
I actually have Luke Kuechly's number.
Yeah,
phone number. I mean, I've stolen him. I shouldn't get into these, but anyway, should we just call Luke right now and ask him if he's going to get in?
Yeah, sure.
Can you imagine?
Hey, Luke, how do you feel about getting snubbed last year? How do you feel about Eli Manning?
I think Kuechly would pick up. He seems like a really nice guy. I bet he would actually engage in the conversation. He might be like, "Who is this?" But I think we just
there's no way.
Yeah, you're right. There is no way. I think sometimes I forget that these people have so many people probably trying to reach out to them all the time about things that if you get a call from a random dude in a basement asking about your Hall of Fame snub
on the air,
you're like, what the hell is happening right now? So we will not be doing that. Again, there's a responsibility here to be moral people. So I think those 3 are going to get in. A big question is around Eli Manning, and we've talked about this for years now. Whether people think Eli should get in or not, has some of the most outstanding moments, like signature moments in NFL history. At any point, was Eli a top 5 quarterback in football? Probably not in his whole career. Was he a top 10?
He never received an All-Pro vote.
Was he a top 10 quarterback? Probably a few times in his career.
He made 2 real Pro Bowls.
Like Eli is more of, there's a lot of weight carried by the name and the moments with Eli. And to be fair, part of the reason his name carries a lot of weight beyond just his brother, who Peyton is that, Eli did build on that Manning legacy by beating Brady twice. I mean, that's an amazing, those were amazing moments in the history of football. So I think
defeated the greatest team in NFL history.
Yeah,
in the
I
Super
think
Bowl.
Eli is a Hall of Famer. And I probably would put him in this year. But what's your take?
My take is that, so there's 2 ways that things can be memorialized in the Hall of Fame. There's busts and there's exhibits. Stuff like Kendall Hinton's wristband from his crazy emergency start is an exhibit, right? Exhibits are for like really big moments or interesting moments or things football fans should really care about. I believe like the helmet from the helmet catch is in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Like some stuff like that makes it in there. And then there's busts that go to individual players. And it seems to me that the bust is for a career of greatness. I'll say this. I think if we're talking about a player having a great career, being a below average player during your era should automatically disqualify you, no matter what else. Eli Manning can get an exhibit. He can get 2 exhibits. He can get some of the big plays he made in there. But if you're a below average player in your era, you can't go to the Hall of Fame. You can't even go to the Hall of Very Good because he wasn't very good. He had 2 or 3 years where people thought he might have been a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And the rest of his career, he lived in the 20s. He didn't revolutionize the game. He had a few good moments. And it's just hard for me to see a player like that belonging in the Hall of Fame.
I get that argument. I completely understand it.
And now you're about to tell me that a below average player belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to say. The 2 moments that he had were that spectacular. I mean, they were that good, and he was the reason that it happened. The defense. I mean, I know the defense was unbelievable against Brady, but Eli had the iconic play, right? The helmet catch was just as amazing. Was him escaping that sack? I don't know how he did that, and going on the run in the playoffs where he was just great. I remember in 2007, the Vikings beat them like 40-10. And we had a kick return touchdown, interception return touchdowns. Tiki Barber is saying how Eli sucks. New York media was, and I was 9 years old, but New York media was all over him. This is a dude who's in his 3rd or 4th year. And then he goes on that run. Even the teams that the Giants had that won the Super Bowl, like didn't win their division. Like, like these teams, they were not great teams, but Eli got red hot, and his 4th quarter, his comeback ability, his big clutch gene is one of the best we've seen in football. But even the numbers, Ziggy, like he's 11th all time in passing touchdowns. He is 11th all time in passing yards. And his Iron Man streak, he's tied for like 8th, I think, right here, 11th. He never missed a game. I do think that has to mean something. Yes, his individual season by seasons were not up there with the best players of all time, with Hall of Fame players. But his broader career and the numbers he accumulated with the moments he had are enough for me to give him that nod to get in.
It's hard for me to care all that much about the volume when pretty much... So like if Eli Manning retired, say in 2011, people would have said this is a guy who had some really high peaks. He's just won 2 Super Bowls. He's had a great career. From 2011 on, he was on a team with a winning record twice. He put a lot of that volume that you're bringing up here, playing bad football on the basis of a runway that he built up for himself early in his career. And like I understand he did in fact throw for all those passing yards, but those were passing yards that he was getting on empty volume on teams winning 5 or 6 games a year.
Again, it's an understandable argument, but 2011, that's 8 years into his career. Like,
yeah,
he had 8 years where he won 2 Super Bowls. And I just think that having those 2 if he doesn't win the Super Bowls, right? Those teams, even if they lose in the conference championship game, they go on a little run and lose. We're not talking about this here, but those Super Bowls happened. And those
he had a year where he lifted the Giants to the Super Bowl in 2011. But
2007.
Having 1 year where you lift a team to the Super Bowl doesn't make your career
2007.
great. 2007, the defense got them into the playoffs. The defense took them through the playoffs. They had a couple big moments.
But he had the moment. Like, I mean, he had the moment.
Eli Manning 100% deserves an exhibit or two at the Hall of Fame for those moments and what he did in those games. He deserves to be mentioned in Canton. He does not deserve a bust for having a great career when guys who were the best player at their position for 5, 6, 7 years in a row are struggling to get in.
Yeah, look, I get it. I would put him in. And I even those guys who are waiting to get in, he's Eli Manning.
Yeah, who cares if you were the best at your position for 5 or 6 years, dominated the NFL from it when you can be Eli Manning and have 2 good games?
Yeah, that's part of the perks of being a quarterback. Part of the perks of being a quarterback are all the glory and all the ridicule.
Eli Manning would be the single worst quarterback in the Hall of Fame. And if he's put in the Hall of Fame, it becomes a less legitimate institution.
He will be in the Hall of Fame. Do you have any doubt about that?
I have some belief that he's not going to get in the on a modern era committee. I think he's going to get put in. I hope that he is put in like 20 years in some retrospective committee.
Jim Marshall needs to get in too. That's just insane that he's not.
I mean, Ken Anderson isn't in the Hall of Fame. He was 10 times the quarterback Eli Manning was.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is something we briefly discussed on What's Right like a month ago. When does Gronk get in? He gets in 2 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he 27 or 28?
He's synced up with Brady, right? Because of that.
No, I think
Buccaneers
Brady's
return
next year. When does Gronk become eligible?
Because Gronk's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question.
So Gronk will be eligible in 2027. Brady is 2028. Okay. So Gronk is a first-time Hall of Famer. Nick's theory was you hold it. You hold Gronk a year, and you do like a big Patriots one where you have Brady, Gronk, Rodney Harrison, Belichick, and Vinatieri all together in 2028.
No.
I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but it's kind of a fun idea.
I don't like manipulating Hall of Fame votes like that.
No, neither do I, because especially Vinatieri and Harrison are guys like we know Gronk, we know Belichick, we know Brady are all going to get in.
Vinatieri might never get in.
No, Vinatieri might not, and who knows when Harrison if he'll get in. So that's where I don't like manipulating it, and I actually don't think those guys would want to just get in to make it a Patriots class. Now you also could do a world where it's just like Gronk, Brady, Belichick, but yeah, I'm with you. I don't think you should manipulate that. It would be funny though if you had them all go and put Eli with them. Like if you were going to manipulate it, that would be pretty funny, no?
It would be.
So I just thought that was you have Brady go out there and Eli's just smirking. Like that would be comedy. That would be as much of a comedy show as it would be a Hall of Fame induction, which the NFL does not want to turn their most prestigious honor into.
That's the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, Paul.
Yeah, I was waiting for
you to say that. If you think the Walter Payton Man of the Year award is a remotely prestigious honor anyone cares about, see how often that's brought up in Eli's Hall of Fame case.
Yeah. But it's obviously it's a very meaningful award, but
it is, but it's not the NFL's most prestigious honor,
and not the way that people want it to be talked about like that.
No,
and maybe it should. It probably should be the most prestigious honor, right?
No,
I thought you seem like the kind of person who would have said yes to that. So
the most prestigious honor should be MVP.
The over Hall of Fame.
A Hall of Fame is not like it's a different criteria. In terms of yearly awards, it's MVP and everyone knows it. But now it's time for the single worst game picks in Paul Farrington show history because I hate picking Week 18.
Here we go. Week 18 game picks starting off Saturday afternoon for the NFC South. The Bucs are 3-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers.
Nah, keep pounding. I'm taking the Panthers.
It doesn't feel like the Panthers should be hosting a playoff game, but I'm gonna go.
Neither should the Bucs.
No, I know, but I can like the Bucs have done it recently.
The Colts season, except because their division, they might actually get in.
The Bucs have done it recently. I'm gonna go with Carolina though because it's too many losses for Tampa. I want to take them, but I can't do it right now. The Seahawks for the 1 seed. The Seahawks are 1.5 point favorites on the road in San Francisco against Ziggy's precious 49ers.
Vegas doesn't respect Brock Purdy. I do. The 49ers take care of business against Seattle.
I've been saying it all year. San Francisco is a talented team, but they're not a 1-seed team. Seattle is a 1-seed caliber team. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Oh, Seattle's a 1-seed caliber team who they need this game. They need this game. The Niners need this game. I think the Seahawks defense is going to be able to make enough plays, and Darnold shows up in this one. I got the Hawks. The Saints are 3-point underdogs at the Falcons. The suddenly red hot Saints and the playing decent football in the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm taking a lot of underdogs, but Tyler Shaw's been playing legitimately good football. I think he can keep it going one more week against Kirk Cousins. The Falcons are coming off a huge win. It's a letdown spot for Atlanta. The Saints get a win.
Bijan is just unbelievable. He's so much fun to watch. I'm also going to go with the Saints, though. And I haven't watched the second of Tyler Shaw. Like, I really haven't. And I know
he's been actually good.
No, I know. That's what everyone's saying. And every time I come on the show and I say I need to watch him, I'm not going to be able to watch him. I'm not really going to watch him till after the season. But I'm looking forward to it because I have no idea what the hell's going on down in New Orleans. One thing on Tyler Shaw, I'll say, I don't even know if I say his name right. Is it Shaw?
Who knows?
Like, we played Louisville. We being Notre Dame played them a couple of years ago, and we wound up pulling away late. This was the Riley Leonard team that went to the championship. But I remember watching that game and thinking, like, this Louisville quarterback is awesome. Like, he made a couple big time throws. And when he was drafted, it felt like a reach. A lot of people had him skyrocketing up draft boards late, and people didn't understand that. But Tyler Shaw was someone who he's an impressive dude. So I don't know if he's going to turn into the franchise savior, but he might.
He's going to get a runway next year.
The Browns go to the Bengals, where the Bengals are 7.5-point favorites. Myles Garrett needs just one more sack, I believe it is, to break the all-time single-season sack record.
The Bengals care more about winning than the sack record. The Bengals win. Garrett gets his record.
Subtle shot at the Steelers. I will also go. Subtle. Well, yeah, I will also go with the Bengals. Cowboys 3.5-point favorites at the Giants, who currently gave away the number 1 overall pick in the draft last week.
I'll take the Giants to win this one, actually.
Really? I'm gonna go with Dallas. And I don't really need to get into it. The Packers go to the Vikings, where the Vikings are 7-point favorites. Did you say, like, we don't know who our quarterback's going to be?
No one knows who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, all right. So since the game's meaningless, I'll take the Vikings.
You've convinced me. I know I took the Packers with Andy. I've changed my mind. I'll take the Vikings. Sure.
Yeah, we gotta tank our stats. And that's also going to go in line with this game here. The Colts go to the Texans, where the Texans are 10.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
And the Texans will win, because then the Vikings will jump the Colts. That's how it's going to work. And we'll be the very first team out between both conferences from the playoffs.
Well, no, the Texans are going to win because it's their defense versus Riley Leonard.
Yeah, but also there's some magic at hand here. The Titans go to the Jaguars. Jacksonville, 12.5-point favorites.
Duval.
Chiefs, 5.5-point favorites at the Raiders. Kind of sneaky important game for Vegas to lose.
The Raiders are going to get it done and lose this one. The Chiefs get it done with whoever their quarterback's going to be.
I'll also go with the Chiefs. What a disaster year for Vegas. All right, big game here. Lions go to the Bears. It doesn't mean anything to the Lions, but the Bears are 3-point favorites. If they win, they secure the 2 seed.
Chicago's going to be able to get this done. The Lions are reeling. The Bears are clicking. The Bears build up some momentum going into their first playoff game against Green Bay.
I'll tell you what, this game to me, in some sense, is a bit of a playoff game for Chicago. Because if they lose this one and drop down to the 3, I do not think they'll be able to go into Philly and win. I mean, I know they just did it. Right? I know they did it. I don't think they'll do it again. I think they would beat Philly at home. So, obviously, the wild cards are going to be wonky this year because all these teams...
They have to beat Green Bay first.
Yeah. Oh, no, they have to beat Green Bay first. And I don't even know if they're going to do that. But the 2 seed is... we can agree, right? The 2 seed is going to be very important to Chicago getting to the conference championship. So
they get a ceiling if they don't get the 2 seed. So I think they're going to get it done.
I'm going to go Chicago as well. I think they get it done. The Lions just seem dead to me. The Chargers are 11.5-point dogs. They're sitting everyone at Denver, who's playing for the 1 seed.
I'll take Denver. Denver actually needs to win this game.
Miami going to New England. Patriots are 10.5-point favorites.
Patriots.
Same. Commanders go to Philly. Philly 3.5-point favorites in this one.
I'll take the Eagles.
Why is that only 3.5? It's Daniels isn't playing. It's I'm gonna go Eagles too. That's a weird line.
The Eagles are resting a bunch of starters. I'm still taking the Eagles. Like Jalen Hurts isn't playing.
Oh, is that
a bye week?
Oh, they really pulled Hurts?
They pulled Hurts. They pulled Lane.
Oh, I didn't see that yet.
They're pulling all their guys who are beat up.
Okay, all right. So, wow, that's a little surprising to me, given that they can still be the 2. I guess they just don't care. All right, yeah, I'll still go Philly, but that's a little. Is that not a little bizarre?
I wouldn't say it's totally bizarre. I mean, they rested all their starters the second half of the Bills game too.
Yeah, weird. Well, not Hurts though. Right?
I didn't see Hurts on that field. Did you?
Did I like black out or something?
No, I'm making a joke.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Wow. Cardinals go to the Rams. Rams are 7.5-point favorites.
Let's ram it.
Jets. I'm with you. Jets at Bills. 7.5-point favorites.
Bills.
Buffalo with you as well. And then the Sunday night football game. Do you want to react to that live? We get Jack. I feel like that has to be a live reaction.
I'm down.
Ravens 3.5-point favorites in Pittsburgh. Jack has been begging for a home playoff game for his Steelers. He has the opportunity. He's got one right here, basically. This is the home playoff game.
The Steelers will lose their home playoff game like they always do. I'm taking the Ravens.
This is a spot where growing up my entire life, I rooted for the Ravens to win these games solely out of spite. But I've changed, Ziggy. I've become an adult. I've become mature. And I root for my friends now. So I'll be rooting for the Steelers for Jack. I also want the Ravens to fall apart and get Lamar out of there. But I think they're going to win this game too, if Lamar even plays. So I think the Steelers at home get the job done, win the AFC North, and then probably they could actually win. I think they could even win their first round playoff matchup. So, all right, not a second to spare before Ziggy has to get out of here. Hope everyone enjoyed the Week 18 prediction episode. We'll be back on Sunday with a reaction, probably Sunday evening, and then I would at least like to do Ravens Steelers. So we'll see what cast and crew we can rally up for that. But Ziggy, hope everyone had a very happy New Year's Eve, a safe New Year's Eve, and let's kick in 2026 the right way. I hope everyone has a great day and a great year.